All right, so let's review the React Intermediate Challenge. I'm gonna jump straight to question number 3 because Vicky had some issues on that question. So I'm just gonna copy and paste it. So she's using a class. I have obviously nothing against that. I think it's a very healthy approach. However, the problem is clearly here. That is absolutely messy. That is absolutely messy because of indentation, breakline strategy, and so on, right? So this .props.list.filter. So first of all, let's move filter to a new line. Look at how hard it is to actually. All right, so let me move things a bit, something like that. And then she wants to keep the countries that include the filter, which is great. I think that's great. However, the problem is here because she's doing country that includes that map should be outside of the filter, Vicky. Filter and then map? That doesn't make sense. You see, you're filtering, and inside of filtering, you are using map. That's absolutely wrong. And I don't care about missing parentheses. I care about the way you indent your code, because that makes everything impossible to follow, right? Look, filter, right? You see filter, 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 filter. All right, so you got the filter, and then once you finish with filter, so this is a good example, Vicky, about why you should indent the code correctly. Look at how easier your code is to read now. I'll tell you something, I've done nothing. I haven't added any single line of code. I just move things around, hoping it works. So let's read it again. So you do this.props.list, filter country. So you keep the countries that include the filter, that's correct. And then for each filter country, you just display them, right? That looks good to me. Let's run it. Okay, so there is still something wrong. Line number 25, I probably have to close map, yeah? Second closing parentheses. Let's run it again. And that was it, Vicky. That's all right. That's right. The good, yeah. So there is some good news and some bad news, Vicky. The good news is you were super close to solve the problem. You proved you really understood the process, the logic, the flow, and that's great. The bad news is that even though you knew how to do it, you fail, and you fail because of the way you indented your code, right? So please pay attention to these tiny details. Cool, good stuff. Anything else, Vicky, or anyone else about React? No? All right, so then let's just, jump straight to JavaScript, right? And I'm gonna start with question number 2. That's the one that you struggled the most, right? I don't think anybody actually solved it. What was question number 2? Get multiples of. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So Max didn't understand the question. All right, so let's try to understand the question, right? First things first. So look, we got 2 arguments. First of all, an array of numbers represented as strings. Yeah, be careful with that. And then another argument within a given limit. So we got number 5. The question tells you, give me all the multiples of number 5 until 23. So can anyone tell me what the multiples of number 5 with the limit 23 are? Correct, 5, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20. And what about number 7? Can you tell me the multiples of 7 until 23? Correct, 7, 14, 21. So that's actually what you have to return. Sorted ascendingly. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Yeah? So there are many ways that we can attack the problem in so many different ways. I would like to use reduce to solve the problem. So function get multiples of. Let me actually talk about the arguments. Let me call it numbers and limit. I'll do something. I'm gonna call it string numbers. I'm very I'm a bit scared of dealing with numbers represented as strings because you know that that's a bit dangerous. In some occasions, JavaScript knows how to deal with the problem. So for instance, guys, can you tell me what 5 minus 2 is gonna return in JavaScript? It's gonna be 3 as a number, sorry, not as a string. 3 as a number, yeah? Which is, it's gonna be a string. All right, so let me check the type of 5 minus 2. No, it's a number, Vicky. It's clearly a number. So it's gonna return a number, which is okay-ish, because JavaScript is smart enough to understand, blah, blah, blah. So this is an example where you can safely play with numbers as a string, even if they are negative. So what's that gonna display, guys? Seven, correct. Yeah. 5 minus minus 2, minus and minus equal plus, so 5 minus minus 2 equals 7. So that's okay, that's okay. But now, let me tell you something. So can you tell me what 4 is less than 8 is gonna return? Error, wrong. True, interesting, Max, you're right. You see, at the bottom, it's returning true. And what about 14 minus 8 is gonna return? Oh, you are wrong. 14 less than 8 returns true. You see? And that makes sense. Because that's correct. That's correct. They're like characters. We're comparing strings. So in reality, JavaScript is checking 1 versus 8. And 1 is actually less than 8. So you see the problem, guys. You see the problem. Playing math operations with numbers represented by strings is dangerous. It's dangerous. That's why, and that's not obvious. I mean, here you can immediately see what the problem is. But imagine you are dealing with a complex algorithm. You can easily ruin everything just because of that comparison. Yeah. So I personally, as a matter of tidiness, I personally prefer to transform every single number represented by a string into a pure number, even if I have to roll it back later on. But at least I know that if I play a math operation, it will be involving numbers all the time, yeah? Even if it's not always necessary, strictly speaking. All right, so that's at least for now, regardless of what I do next, I'm calling string numbers, yeah, because these numbers are represented by strings. So now look. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use reduce. So for number 5, I will get all the multiples of number 5. And then for number 7, I will get all the multiples of number 7. So look, return string numbers. Actually, let me transform them to pure numbers first. I may change that later on. You remember that, guys? Map number. So then I got pure numbers. Yep. So now I can do that reduce multiples, and then I got my pure number. Can anyone figure out what's going to be the default value of the accumulator? The original array, what's the original array? 5 and 7? Well, yeah, I mean, definitely, because 5 and 7 are going to be part of that list. That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, we could do that. However, to simplify things, I'm going to do something. I'm going to start with an empty array. And then I will fill it. I will fill it. So how am I going to fill it? First of all, let me return multiples before I forget. And now, look. I'm going to use just a classic for loop. For let I equal number. Semicolon, I is less than, and now I need to be careful again because the limit is a string, right? A string limit. So how can I quickly transform the string limit into a number, guys? Correct. Adding 1 plus, Elena, that's correct. And then how can I increment the index, that index? I can do I plus equal number. You see? So when number is 5, the first value will be 5. The next one will be, 5 plus 5, which is 10. The next one will be 10 plus 5, which is 15. The next one will be 15 plus 5, which is 20. And the next one will be 20 plus 5, which is 25. But because 25 is not going to satisfy that condition anymore, that iteration will be missed. So we are not going to add number 25 to the list. So here, the only thing I need to do is just push it. You see how simple it is, guys, with a for loop? For the two numbers, because we are using reduce. So with reduce, what's gonna be the first number in the first use case scenario? 5, that's correct. So all right, number is 5. Give me all the multiples of number 5. Next iteration, number is gonna be what? 7, correct. And now push all the multiples of 7. So on each, yeah, go on. No, wait. I never said we are done yet, right? So it's still work in progress, right? So that will create an array with the right data. So that will save the right amount of numbers. However, you're right. We need to sort the results. Yeah? But that's fine, because to sort the results, what I can do now is dot sort number A and number B. So I just need to sort the array ascendingly, you see, from the smallest to the biggest one. So can anyone tell me what else do I need to type here? Number B minus number A. That's interesting. What do you think, guys? That's correct. Remember, guys, A and B, if we return a negative number, it doesn't matter if it's -1 or -1 million. If you return a negative number, it will respect the order. Returning a negative number means B is greater than A. That's why it's a negative number. Respecting the order means the array will be sorted ascendingly. Yeah, remember, if we put A first, ascendingly. Yeah. On the other way around, if we return a positive number, means, if we change the order, B minus A, yeah. So that means that we want to sort the array descendingly, yeah. But because we want to sort the array ascendingly, we'll do A minus B. And one more thing, guys. So that's gonna return an array of numbers. However, the exercise wants us to return an array of strings. Yeah. It's a good question. Maybe I will try. That's a good question, Elena. We'll try that. Let's make sure it works, and then we'll try to use this shortcut. Yeah. Guys, how can we transform the array of numbers into an array of strings? Dot to a string. I don't think that's gonna work, because dot to a string belongs to the number prototype. So I can have a number 6.toString, yeah, and it will return something like that. Remember that, guys, on the prototypal inheritance, you can do something like that as well. However, that's going to return something a bit weird, right? That's going to return object. So that's not definitely what we want to do here. We want to transform an array of pure numbers into an array of numbers represented as strings. Map, absolutely. Map, very useful to transform an array into a new array. And map what? What else? number dot toString. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, that's the way we can transform each number individually. Let's see if it works. It doesn't. Unexpected token 4, and the reason is I forgot to add the curly brace, yeah? The opening curly brace. So that was a syntax error. Let me try again. Now you see it works. Well, so can you tell me, Vicky? Can you tell me, Vicky, what's the first number, please? Here, it's 5, correct. So we got number 5, and then we loop. What's the first value of I, Vicky? It's 5, that's correct. Is 5, and what's the first value of a string limit, Vicky? 5 is 23, that's correct. Once we transform it to a number, it's number 23, yeah? Is 5 less than 23? Yeah, all right, so then let's add I to the array. So what number are we adding to the array, Vicky? 5, that's correct. So we got number 5 in the array, yeah? And then on the next iteration, what's the next value of I? 7, wrong. Wrong. You need to look here on the right hand side. That's the way we increment the value of I. Wrong. That's 10. That's a shortcut of I equals I plus number. So if I was 5, the new value is 5 plus the number that was 5. So the next value of I is 10. String limit remains 23. So correct. And then we go again. What's the next value of I? 15, correct. Is 15 less than 23? Yeah, so we'll add it. What's the next value? 20, still less than 23. We'll add it. And then what's it? Well, wait. Next value is 25. Is 25 less than 23? Yeah, so correct. So that's gonna eventually the for loop is gonna stop, because at some point I will be 25, but 25 is not gonna satisfy the condition. So 25 is not gonna be added to the array. So this is just on the first iteration of reduce. Then we'll start the second iteration of reduce. So what's the next number, Vicky? 7, correct. So what's the first value of I? Correct. So is 7 limit is 23? Is 7 less than 23? Yes. So correct. And next iteration, what's the next value of I? 14. Is 14 less than 23? Yeah. Yeah. We add it again. And what happened next? Stops there, because next we increase the value to 28. 28 doesn't satisfy that condition, so then it's not going to run line number 6 again. Yeah? That's all right. What else, guys? Any questions? Yeah, of course. Let's try to use the shortcut. Short. It's interesting. It's not working. Yeah, I'm not sure what is the default behavior of sort. I've told you in some occasions that works under some particular circumstances. Looking at the way the array is sorted, it clearly sorts the array according to alphabetical order, because you see 1, 0, 1, 4, 1, 5. So if we were talking about the strings, it would work. But because we're talking about numbers, that's not going to work. Yeah, so that's why I'm not a big fan of, using the implicit version of sort, because it's just going to work under some special circumstances where you just want to sort an array of strings ascendingly. That's it. One more thing, guys. You remember that shortcut, right? So map.number, that's the same as using map, string number, and then number of string number. You remember that, right? So these, without the semicolon, of course. So these two lines are equivalent. Can we do the same thing on the other way around? Transforming a number into a string? All right, let me show you. Yes, we can. We can. The thing is, apart from number to string, there is another method in JavaScript called string that transforms a number into a string. So if I run it, it still works. So can anyone tell me how to simplify line number 11? That's correct. That's it. You see? And I hope you agree with me. Now the code looks even more beautiful because it has some sort of reflection. You see? First of all, you transform into number, you run some operations, and eventually you bring it back to string. I think it plays well with regarding readability. Yeah, you can see it works. Any questions, guys? No? All right, so I don't think anybody solved that one. I believe, yeah, no one. So I'm gonna do one more, and then it's up to you. It looks like question number 5 was a piece of cake because everyone actually, or almost everyone solved it. But question number 3, right? That looks like it was the most difficult one. Do you want me guys to do question number 3? Okay. Okay, so let's do that question. Oh, add diff numbers in 2 arrays. That's relatively complex. I mean, that's advanced, right? So what we need to do is we have to find the numbers that are only displayed in one side. So for instance, in the first use case scenario, which numbers are only on one side? 1 is only on the left, and also 4 is only on the right hand side, you see? And then, well, this is what it is, Vicky. So 1 and 4, so then we just need to add 1 and 4, right? So let's start dealing with the main function add diff. So then I'm gonna call it array1 maybe. Array1, so we call it array, all right, let's call it array1 and then array2. Feel free to deal with semantics like numbers array1, numbers array2, whatever, yeah? All right, so now I'm gonna do something. Straight away, I'm gonna get a new function. Function get unique. So that function get unique will receive 2 arrays, array1 and array2 again, and it's gonna tell me which numbers of array1 are not part of array2. So how am I gonna do that? Return, that's very simple, array1 dot filter, because I want to get a subset. Yeah, so for each number, exactly. How do we know, guys, if a number is not part of array2? Much easier than that, Max. So look. Wait a minute, Elena. So we're simplifying the problem. My question is not how to solve the problem. My question is, how do you know, guys, if number 6 is part of a list of 4, 6, and 7? That's gonna return true, yeah, because 6 is part of the list. However, if I don't have number 6, that's gonna return false. How can we do that? Elena, you had some ideas here? That's correct. That's correct. If you do array2.includes, look at how simple this is, Max. What do you think? Is that gonna work? That's correct. That should be on the other way around, guys. We should negate that. because we want to get the numbers that are not included into the other array. Yeah? So now, let me create a couple of variables. So I'm going to create a variable called unique on array1, not 2, equals get unique array1, array2. And now, can anyone tell me, because we need to check the same thing on the other array, right? What else do I need to type on that line number 3? Get unique. Correct, on the other way around. So here we know which elements on the first array are not part of the second one. Next line, we check which elements of the second array are not part of the first one. So now, in the first use case scenario, what we got is after the line, we got hopefully an array of number 1. In the second use case scenario, we got an array with number 4. And now we want to add numbers 1 and 4. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to create a new array, unique or result array. Yeah, I'm not very happy with the semantics, guys. I'm going to rename the variable. You know I don't like array. So let me call it array numbers and array numbers, unique numbers, and then array numbers 1, array number 2, array number 2. Yeah, so I'm just playing with the semantics to make it, you don't necessarily have to agree on that. You may find it harder to read, but you know, can I call it numbers 1? Numbers 1, yeah, because that's, if I call it numbers, yeah. Again, I'm not very opinionated all these things, but I think it's important to dedicate some time until you feel comfortable with the naming conventions. Yeah, so numbers 1, number 2, numbers 2, numbers 1, unique numbers on 1, unique numbers on 2, I don't know. Then the idea is now I can create a new variable called unique numbers. So can anyone tell me, guys, if I got an array of number 1 and an array with number 2, with number 4, sorry, how can I, because I want to add these values, right? So essentially what I want to do is I want to have an array of 1 and 4, because if I have an array of 1 and 4, I can add these values easily using reduce. So can anyone tell me how can I combine these two arrays? Concat, okay, that's fine. I can do, as an idea, numbers, unique numbers 1.concat. Well, again, yeah, concat is not the most performant thing, but again, don't worry about that much, because we are concatenating two arrays of 2 elements. Yeah, so to me, readability is even more important. So do you know, by the way, not necessarily defending any other technique, but just out of curiosity, any different way of combining 2 arrays in JavaScript? Correct. On top of the performance, I like to use rest because, for instance, if we had to add 3 arrays, it feels easier to me. Yeah? Array 1, array 2, array 3. I don't know, it just feels easier. All right, so hopefully here, what we got is just that, right? So now, if we have that, can anyone tell me how to get the result of adding these 2 numbers? That's correct, Vicky, with reduce. So, return unique numbers dot reduce, and then what else? Total, comma, number, and then what? Total plus number. That's very interesting. However, I don't think that's gonna work. That should work fine in the majority of these scenarios, but there is a problem. Can anyone spot? Say it again, Vicky. That's correct. In the last use case scenario, unique numbers, it's an empty array because there are no unique numbers on each side. So what happens if there are no unique numbers? So what's that going to return? There is no default value in the accumulator, right? So what's that going to... Guys, let's prove the theory. In theory, everything should work fine apart from the last assertion. Here you go. You see? And look at the error. Reduce of an empty array with no initial value. That's a type error. Because what's that going to return? We don't know, right? We don't know. So can anyone tell me how to effectively solve that problem? That's absolutely brilliant. Indeed. If you set out the default value to whatever, 0 in this case, that means that even if there is nothing to loop, even if there are no numbers at all, reduce will return the default value, and then we get some nice confetti time. Thoughts? Questions? No. So the thing is, guys, are you familiar with set? Yeah. So if you use set is similar to arrays to some extent, but without any duplicated values. So for instance, if I pass 1, 3, 1, and 2, number 1 is duplicated, as you can see, that will return a new structure. It's not an array. It's not an array. That's a set data structure, but the values will be unique. So the values will be 1, 3, and 2. So once you got that, you can transform that into an array by doing something like that. You spread the values of set into a comma separated, and then you gather them again with the square brackets. There is also a different way of doing that by using array.from. That's fine. It's the same thing. Array.from takes something that looks like an array and transform it into a pure array. Yeah? So that's all good. The thing is, Max, I don't really believe you can solve the problem using set, or not. Maybe you can, but not in a very natural way. Because with set, set will work perfectly if the problem was add the numbers that are add all the numbers, but don't add the duplicates. So, for instance, if we will have to add 1, 3, and 2, and then 2, or let me rephrase that to simplify the problem. 1, 3, 2, just one array. 1, 3, 2, 5, and 2. And if the problem was add them all, but ignore the duplicates, then set will work perfectly. Because with set, we will transform that into 1, 3, 2, and 5, and then we will transform that into an array of 1, 3, 2, and 5, and then we load them all, and that will return 4, 6, 11, yeah, which is a number. But in this case, set is really good removing the duplicates, but in this case we want to do on the other way around. We want to highlight the duplicate somehow. I don't know. I'm not telling you that's impossible to solve with set. I just believe, and I could be completely wrong, guys, but I just believe it's going to be harder. If you find a way, Max, to solve the problem in a nice way using set, please let me know, because I will be very curious about it. Anything else, guys? No? All right, I think we can leave it here. I don't want to waste the productivity of your day. We have to finish in the bootcamp, so I know you're busy with many things. Yeah, but that was it from my side. If it goes without saying that if you got any questions about any other exercise, please let me know on Slack. You know where I am. Apart from that, thank you very much, guys, and see you later.